Welcome to Well of Tales, where every whisper becomes a story. Have you ever felt like the world is against you? Like no matter how hard you try, conflict just seems to find you? Let me tell you a story about David. David was the kind of guy everyone acknowledged was smart and dedicated. He poured his heart and soul into his work, always striving for the best results. But there was a shadow that followed him, a recurring pattern he couldn't seem to shake. Conflicts were his constant companions, whether in the boardroom or by the water cooler. Every single disagreement, no matter how small, felt like a personal attack, and his go-to reaction. Anger. It was a shield he used, but it was also a wall that kept everyone at a distance. He believed he was always right, and this conviction fueled a fire that often left his professional relationships in ashes. He couldn't understand why people were so difficult, why they couldn't just see things his way. One particularly draining evening, after a heated argument that left the entire office tense, David stormed home. He burst through the door, the frustration radiating off him like heat. He threw his briefcase onto the couch with a heavy thud, a physical manifestation of the weight he was carrying. His father, a quiet and observant man, was sitting in his favorite armchair, reading a book. He looked up, his gaze gentle but piercing, and noticed the storm clouds brewing around his son. He let the silence hang for a moment before speaking, his voice calm and steady. "Son," he began, "you seem to be fighting a lot of battles lately." David sighed. "You have no idea, Dad. It's impossible to work with these people." His father closed his book, placing it carefully on the side table. He leaned forward and asked a simple yet profound question. "Have you ever stopped to think? Maybe the problem isn't always them. Maybe, just maybe, it's about how you choose to respond." The words hung in the air, unexpected and unsettling. It was a thought David had never truly allowed himself to entertain. That night, sleep eluded David. His father's words echoed in his mind, relentless and persistent. He found himself standing in front of the bathroom mirror, but he wasn't just looking at his reflection. He was truly seeing himself for the first time. The tired, angry man staring back at him was a stranger. He took a deep breath and asked the question that had been circling his thoughts. Am I part of the problem? In the quiet stillness of the night, with no one else to blame, he couldn't run from the truth. For the very first time, he engaged in honest self-reflection. He replayed argument after argument in his head, not from his usual perspective of victimhood, but as an impartial observer. He saw it then, the pattern. He realized he rarely listened to understand, he only listened to rebut. His first instinct was always to get defensive, to build his walls higher and stronger. It was a painful, but liberating realization. The person in the mirror wasn't a monster. He was just someone who had forgotten how to listen, how to connect. The next morning, David walked into the office with a newfound, albeit fragile, sense of purpose. He wasn't trying to change the world. He was just trying to change his small corner of it, starting with himself. It wasn't long before a familiar situation arose. A colleague questioned his approach to a project. The old David would have bristled instantly, his voice rising to shut down the perceived challenge. But this time, he remembered the man in the mirror. He took a silent, deep breath. He held back his initial, defensive retort and instead focused on truly hearing what his coworker was saying. He listened to the concerns, acknowledged their validity, and only then did he speak. His response was calm, measured, and respectful. He didn't just defend his idea. He explained his reasoning and asked for their input. To his absolute astonishment, the tension that usually filled the air in these moments was absent. The conversation remained peaceful, productive, and collaborative. It ended not with a winner and a loser, but with a better, combined solution. That small victory was a turning point. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but a slow, steady change. David started practicing this new approach consistently. He made listening his priority and empathy his tool. Slowly but surely, the atmosphere around him began to shift. The constant friction was replaced by a smooth flow of collaboration. His coworkers, who once tiptoed around him, now approached him with ideas and smiles. They started to see the intelligent and hardworking man who had been hidden behind the wall of anger. Respect followed, not because the people around him had suddenly changed, but because he had. He learned that the greatest power for change doesn't lie in controlling others, but in mastering oneself. Self-awareness wasn't just a buzzword, It was the mirror that showed him the truth and the key that unlocked a better version of his world. The story of David is a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest obstacle in our path is our own reflection. True growth begins when we have the courage to look in that mirror and ask the hard questions. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that helps us all become better versions of ourselves. Thank you for watching.